Welcome, listeners, to the Master Your Money, how to build your entrepreneurial and financial mindset to make more money and accelerate your business. This is a show that I put on. I'm Josh Blakely. I put this together because I want entrepreneurs to not only make incredible amounts of money in their business and to grow and scale their business in that way, but actually want them to use that money. I want you as listeners to be able to make the most of it as it comes through, to set up the legacy you want and really put your financial future into a great place, which is why we're in business, right? To make money and then to serve others. So really excited today because I have a mentor of mine, Brendan Kelly, on here, and Brendan is a specialist property educator, as well as himself being involved in all kinds of real estate and property projects over the years. He's an author. He's also co-founder of the leading independent property research methodology used here in Australia as well. And we've got Brendan on here today to share some of his journey and to teach you and share with you some ways that you can actually make the most of your money and build your wealth. So thanks, Brendan. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Josh, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Excellent. Now, I've done a quick intro, but let's start. Tell us a little bit about who you are and where you're headed with things at the moment.
So I have been working as an entrepreneur, growing businesses. I started out with some, I guess for want of a better word, trial and error type approach. I've done multiple startups. I have played an entrepreneurial game now for more than 2 decades. I'm currently running a number of businesses. There's a business which is a commercial development business. There is a business which is the property research business. There is a business which is a property education business. And then there is other things I have on the side as well that just because I'm bored, I've got nothing to do. So things that keep me entertained. I also mentor businesses themselves and startups and entrepreneurs as a support mechanism for a small company as a startup incubator. So there's a whole world of things that, and again, my heart is all centered on the ability to make a difference and allow other people to make differences in their own lives. So that's the source of the drive for me.
Excellent. So was there a particular point in time when that why you do things in business came about, or where did that all begin?
It came from the idea of, I was a corporate employee for many years. I've done a lot of things in my life. I started out as a maths science teacher back in high school, so taught at high school, and that was the first kind of role that I did after I got my degree. Left that, got into insurance and insurance sales. Apparently that's what people did as teachers when they left teaching. So I followed that same path. Then moved into knowing that I was okay selling to people. Moved into the idea of having people come to me to be sold to, retail. So I went into menswear, then I went into paint, then I went into logistics, and became a national logistics manager, distributing 3 warehouses, $24 million worth of stock, 24 staff. I mean, there was a bit on. And I looked at the corporate ladder that I was going on, and I thought, well, I don't know if that's really where I want to be. Don't know if the fit was exactly where I needed to be, and decided that greater control in my life around my own destiny was what I was after. Mm-hmm. So I left all that and started a buy, reno, sell series of projects in order to create wealth for myself and my family. So the drive, the personal drive, was one, to support my family, ultimately to have a lifestyle in retirement when I chose to do that.
Yeah.
To have a series of skills and functions that I could perform that weren't ageless, so I didn't have to retire. I wasn't forced at a certain age not to do things. I could give that up when I wanted to, or keep it going for as long as I wanted to. So there was a conversation centered on having the lifestyle for my family, the channel for money, and the ability to express who I wanted to be while I had this time on the planet.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It tends to be a lot of people who take that step into business because they might have a similar experience to you around that as well. And now you're living it out. What's been the drive then to start those multiple businesses along the way?
Yeah, great question. Why one? Why not one? Why multiple? Well, it's interesting. You go through life and you go through journeys. You make decisions to trial and error stuff. Again, Josh, what's the problem with trial and error? Well, having lived through a whole pile of error and a series of scars to prove it, there's still an evolution, and I'm still in a growth phase, for want of a better word. And there's still an evolving understanding of the best way. Generally speaking, why multiples? For me, I guess it's a source of evolution. I started out with a vision. Okay, what I wanted to do was do property and do it really well. What I needed to do was to borrow money to do it myself. Not being employed, being self-employed, there were limitations to being able to do that. But what I developed while employed and doing my business practices, property practices, I discovered that I enjoyed the teaching. So while I was trained to be a teacher in maths and science, the desire to teach never left. So I continued the idea of teaching. Someone once described the idea of money and people. If you drop $100 note in a windy street, a dog doesn't chase the $100 note, a person chases a $100 note. So money comes from people, it doesn't come from other things. Houses are a method or a methodology for creating money, a stock item per se, but the money comes from people. And I thought, and then what I've learned and what I grew through and the experiences and the good and the bad, I was then able to teach people. And so I aligned my teaching and the desire to teach and make a contribution to others through teaching with my property experience, and then became a property investing mentor. Getting to that was great. Then there was, well, how do we do that better? And then what more do I need to learn in order to get that better? And how do I do my own property investing better? And so we evolved our property investing activities such that we're now commercial developers. So we're commercial developers on top of being property mentors. And then there was how do I support people who are not looking to be commercial developers? Because it's a fairly significant role. Not looking to be commercial developers. How do I support them to be better at what they're doing? So we teach the basics. We teach the more complex modeling. But then there's the market has a significant influence. So if I could learn more about the market, so given that I'm now occupied with my time for teaching, occupied with my time for the commercial development, if I'm going to do some buy and holds for longer term purposes, let's say, then I'm going to pick the right areas to do that with. So who can I trust to give me the right information? I started to follow a guy named John Lindeman. And then he and I got into business for the research business so that I could understand what was happening in research. So I have a thirst for knowledge, a thirst to learn stuff, a thirst to share what I've learned, and a lack of trust in anybody else to know as much as I can about getting it right. So I'm driven to DIY a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess that speaks to a complex personality type, really.
Well, it sounds like to me like you're taking what you're passionate about in these different areas, and you've designed your business around that, whether it be
multiple business, correct? So yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Centered on the ability, of course, to make a contribution.
Yeah.
If I boil that down, there really is. I have a limited time on this planet. I want to make a difference. I have a limited time on this planet. I'm a relatively smart bloke. I can think stuff through that other people appear to be to do maybe a little slower, and that sounds arrogant. I know it's not meaning to be like that, but there's if I could make a contribution to make other people's lives easy on the journey they're going on right now with their property investing, then I've made a difference, and I've contributed to the wealth of those around me.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. And going to that, so a big part of your property investing education is helping people create wealth, create money.
Yeah, financial drive, correct.
Yeah. In that regard, I'd love for you to take us right back to your first ever money experience or memory growing up.
Yeah, interesting question. I'm not really clear on what that is. I haven't delved that far back into to money experiences. Apparently, I when I was around as a kid, they had uh, toothpaste out of lead toothpaste tubes, and then I used to melt toothpaste tubes to make coins out of lead. Okay. So I made money.
So the entrepreneurial journey began there.
Now, I think other people have done that too and shared that as well. So I don't think I'm unique in that thinking. Counterfeiting is not a way to go to create great wealth for yourself. Very, very limited lifestyle out of it. I guess there's always the backyard, the walk down the street and mow people's lawns and that sort of stuff as well. I dabbled in a lot of that stuff. I came from a fairly middle class, and I followed my father, which was get a job. So I didn't earn, I guess, the real and first job I did, the one there you go. The one that comes to mind as the source of my first real experience is selling Coke cans at the Elstonwick Beach summer hut for a few bucks an hour. It was cash in hand, roll up, just serve people cans of Coke at, I don't even know what the price was, $1 a can or 50 cents a can or something. And that was it. And I'd ride my little pushy down there and do my job and ride my little pushy home, and I had a bit of extra change. And it was as simple as that. So that would be probably my first real experience around money and earning. Not so creative or entrepreneurial. That came much later.
Yeah. Definitely a start though.
Well, it was correct. Yes.
Yeah. And through the journey then into stepping into your business and creating new businesses and working through them too, how has like the money management side and wealth creation been a part of running your business or a result of that? Which has come first for you, or they've gone hand in hand? Tell us a little bit about that. Okay, we're back.
Wonderful, thank you. So the question was
money management, growing your wealth, and your business, growing your businesses at the same time. Did it go hand in hand there? Was there something that needed to get sorted first, or how's that process look for you?
Sure. The original drive for me to get into my own business is to do something different, to do something more than just be an employee, and to express more of who I wanted to be on this planet. The drive came from serving the financial needs for my domestic environment first, and my financial future. It's kind of like an aeroplane safety approach. You've got to fit your own mask first before helping others.
Yeah.
You're fairly useless to anybody dead. So it came on the back of let's see what I need to do to be better at what I need to do, and then having experienced some of the don't do it this way approach, I'm then able to teach people what not to do as while I'm evolving and growing into the what to do, and continue to do so. So and I also enjoyed the idea and the capacity to actually evolve my own thinking through others and their experiences as well. So when you're mentoring people, there's a real chance to hear where they're coming from, their stories, their experiences, and you make judgment calls on things that you're familiar with or have a concept around, may not have experienced directly yourself, but together with the mentoree, that you're able to evolve a way, an approach, and that way you can get basic rules that work across a multitude of different examples in similar scenarios, and really powerful. So yeah, the teacher becomes taught, that the teacher learns and evolves themselves. So there's a mass amount that you can pick up and support other people with.
Fantastic. And you've touched on
Did
the
that
mentor.
answer your question though?
Well, we went maybe gone on a little tangent there.
I thought you did.
When
Sorry
did
about that.
like when did you start then thinking, okay, my business is making money, I need to do something with this money, or was that
Oh, it's always been the journey.
it's kind of
The business has always been the channel for me to do things with money.
yeah.
So Kiyosaki, who again, avid reader of Kiyosaki, Robert Kiyosaki, he came up with the approach that you run a business to make the money, and then you put your money into property to hold it and have it grow more passively. So it was I've been the employee, I've been self-employed, I've been a business owner, and I've been a property investor or an investor. I still do that now. So it is the trigger for the change was the personal finance and wanting to be better personally. The evolution of that change then came with business and wanting to express that more.
Yeah. So the personal finance is like your foundation before
Correct.
you could build on that. Yeah. Excellent. And you touched on mentors as well in your role in mentoring others, and you're a mentor for me in property investment and real estate. Share with us who were some of the key mentors or most impactful mentors for you along the way?
Probably, yeah, interesting. I could probably have done more with mentors than I did. I did a lot of DIY, evolution, self-exploration, a lot of trial and error. There were people that I think Kiyosaki would probably be one of the biggest. Now, I couldn't call him a mentor. I've never met the man. I don't know him, and I've never talked to him. I went to one or two of his seminar events, and I was one of the thousands of bums on seats there. But the books he read, the philosophical approach he had, the understanding was a trigger enough for me to go, sure, let's take control and see what we can do and have a crack. I have really elected to drive my own path and to look internally about my own direction. I think that in hindsight, I would have been more effective faster had I had a mentor, or had I trusted somebody enough to be my mentor and to listen to them. There is a price you pay for not doing that. As for personal mentors and ways of being, my father is a brilliant role model. He's not in business, but he's brilliant in who he is as a human. Perry Marden is a guy I work with. He's a mentalist, for want of a better word. He's a guy that is able to support people mentally to get past roadblocks. He and I are aligned. So I get to share stuff with him from time to time and use him as a springboard for my own thinking from time to time. There are people I work with, the business owners that I work with, Simon Buckingham, Tony Lambrianos, even John Lindemann. They're all examples of what to do and also what not to do. So there's an evolution that I'm still going through. Yeah.
And in that point where you mentioned that you had trouble trusting mentors in the past, but you're working with Perry Marden now. What was that kind of journey like?
It's still evolving. Am I there yet? No. I have a reputation in the office of being able to see the worst in a lot of things, and therefore be prepared for it. Now, that has some value, but living in that space also has a cost. So there's a balance that you need to ride between planning for the worst and seeing the best versus planning the worst and seeing the worst. Very, very different outcomes.
Yeah. So like maybe taking time to celebrate or stop in the moment or savor the moment. Is that?
There is a need for that. Correct. So I'm, for want of a better word, fairly driven, fairly orientated towards doing things. I have a philosophical approach that my wife tends to hold up to me like a mirror and says, Brendan, you do it two ways, full on or stop. So so it's go hard, sort of die young type approach to it, for want of a better word. So when I'm into something, I go hard at it and invest the time and energy in it. And there's and my wife's conversation there is, Brendan, there is such thing called moderation. How to try that? And I said, no. Nah. So it's still a go hard scenario. So again, I still have my own stuff that I'm working through. Let's call a spade.
Like all of us.
Like all of us, correct. But in that, there is a greater clarity around creating wealth, what the right things to do are around money, what the right things to do around running a business, about making business work, about evolving business, about who I want to be, and what brings you joy on the planet. So, it's definitely been a journey, and it's a journey I'm still on. And I don't know that I'll ever complete.
Yeah.
But if I can make a difference to people along the way, then there's a plus that gets left behind, a certain legacy.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I don't think we ever get there. That's a continual journey.
Well, I'm living it.
Yeah.
And you are too. Now, having worked with you, Josh, you've evolved from someone very, very different to who you are now. And you look great. You sound great. You're coming across really well.
Thank you.
Around the words you say, the language you express, the way you present yourself is a real evolution and a testimony to the growth you've occurred. Congratulations.
Thank you. And for those listening, that's probably been a 3.5 year journey. I think we've been working together now. So yeah, I'm glad to see you be able to look back on that. Excellent. Now, last question I wanted to go through. I've been asking everyone who's been on the show this question. What is the one thing that's made the biggest difference, both in thinking like an entrepreneur and thinking financially? Those ones. So let's touch on the financial side of things. What's the biggest thing in your life experience so far that's had the big difference to your financial mindset?
Nobody cares as much about my wealth as I do. A requirement to take control and be in control around it. I have seen time and time again. Again, this expects the cynicism and the trust relationship through hard yards, I might add. Nobody, all care, no responsibility from everybody else on the planet. I keep mentioning the planet a lot. All care and no responsibility from everybody else. It is your money is your responsibility, and you need to wear that and take that and own that and drive that. Because nobody else will do that for you like you would do that for you. There's a guy that I met who said, made a statement to me. Trust no one, assume nothing, check everything, and get it in writing. Now, if you cover those 4 things off, then the odds are you're covered. But if you trust anybody, don't check anything, then you're setting yourself up and don't get it in writing. It never happened, and the fool and his money soon parted. There are a lot of people in this world that they all want money, and they're willing to some will there's a portion of the people here who will make a difference and want to make a difference, want to make a contribution out of the goodness of their heart, and that's great, and they can do that, and there's some synergy there. But there are also people who will do that at your expense. And care is required to know one from the other. And so caution is required, and wisdom is required. And I've played around with sharks and snakes, and I've seen it work backwards. And I'm a fan of not going down that path again, and I'm a fan of others not going down that path also. So again, nobody will look after you and care about your financial well-being as much as you do. Despite what the marketing brochures say.
Yeah, that's great. Love it. So yeah, financially, the one thing that's a brilliant saying. And how about to entrepreneurial and business? What's the biggest one thing that's made the biggest difference there along your journey?
The desire for me to be an expression of who I want to be while I'm around. Um, I made as a corporate employee, I recognized that I was doing a function, performing the machine cog that I needed to perform, which was great. I was playing the role, doing well, making a contribution, but it wasn't who I wanted to be. It wasn't expression. Yeah, again, there's a standard motivational poster. What are you going to do with your one precious life? Or how would you spend your one precious life? And if you think about that, it's you listen to this. You are unique. You are unique. You have a certain set of skills, a certain learning, a certain desire or passion to do something that is unique and different to most or every other something for 7 billion people. And it's a different set of experiences give you a unique perspective on that.
Mm.
How and when do you propose to express that to others or through others? How and when do you hope to take what that skill, that unique you is, and express that while you're here? And that was one of the drives for me to take control in who I wanted to be while I was here. It was don't want to be a cog, don't want to be a machine part anymore. If who do I want to be and what do I want to do and what's the biggest contribution I could make? Or what and it doesn't need to be a contribution. I could go and just hug trees for 30 years, but that wasn't who I wanted to be. And who I wanted to be was great at finance, teach people to be great at finance, knowing that finance carries a massive, significant impact to the well-being and life experience that people have while alive. And if I can improve their lifestyle and have them improve their way of being, then they can be an expression of that they want to be. And the world then cumulatively is a better place. Someone, I described it once as I am not going to cure cancer. I'm not going to do that. It's not that I don't want cancer cured. I just don't have the interest or the inclination to spend the time or energy on what's required to find that solution. But if I can help the person who is otherwise trapped doing something, otherwise not in a financial place to do it, otherwise too unfunded to be able to do that, but they have the key to solve it and the passion and the desire. If I can make their life better by allowing them to have the money to do what they want to do and they go and solve cancer, the problem of cancer, then I've made a massive contribution to the planet. So it's sort of like the assist in basketball. Who do I want to be? I want to be the assist in basketball. Throw the ball to someone who will dunk it in a multitude of fields, but through being an expert in the field that I'm in.
It's like a compounding effect, sounds like.
Correct.
It's made that way. So, yeah, that's fantastic. Well, yeah, listeners, I encourage you to think about that in your service and what you're offering people in those times. You can think about what is that kind of flow and impact you're having. I really like that. That's great.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, thank you for sharing around that, Brendan. Now, I believe you've got something in the property investment space to offer our listeners.
We do. We have for want of a better word, a book co-written by Simon Buckingham and a gentleman, John Lindeman, from Two of the Business that I've run historically. It is a book titled How Not to Stuff Up, and it's all about your investing and where people typically go wrong with their investing. And if you've got, forewarned is forearmed. So if you've got an idea of where the traps for young players may be, then you can negate those potholes along the journey. And that's what this ebook is all about. So it's how not to stuff up your investing.
Great. That sounds like a really good place to start for people who who might not be sure about property investing or where to go there too. But I'm sure there's plenty of stuff in there for people who've been doing it too, and they can get some great insights out of it. So thank you for sharing.
Correct. Pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Brandon. Well, I just want to thank you for taking time out to be here on the show and share your journey, share your experiences as well. There's some great wisdom in there as well. So listeners, get a hold of that. Check out that guide. And we're coming up. We've got more interviews coming on as well. We're going to keep diving into what it means to think like an entrepreneur, like a successful business person, as well as making that money from those businesses work for you and setting up wealth, setting up a legacy for those people involved in your life who really matter, and even those people you may never know personally, but you've got that flow-on effect happening too. So thank you, Brandon. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much, Josh. It's been a pleasure. It's most delightful. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.